What up, YouTube? Moose coming at you once again with another unboxing. Today it's a Tamiya motorcycle in 1/12 scale, so let's get started. Okay guys, so this is the RZV500R from Yamaha and made by Tamiya, of course. It is a 1/12 scale bike. It's got a steerable front wheel forks, realistic rubber-like tires. It's a highly detailed 2-stroke V4 engine, and it has brake and ignition lines, and it's a precision kit. I mean, who wouldn't have guessed that from Tamiya? So if we look on the side here, we can see two options for this bike. One without the fairings covering everything, and one with the fairings covering everything. Go to the end here. You can see another of the finished model. The other side just basically replicates the other side, and so let's get into the box. Alright, so I'm actually going to do something different this time. I'm going to start with the instructions first and then go to the sprues, solely because I want to be able to try and talk to you and tell you and explain what I'm seeing, rather than just digging in and then looking at the instructions later. So here we have the instructions. As usual, they tell you a bit about the model, or excuse me, the real life subject. And then it folds out in typical Tamiya 6-mile long piece of paper. So they give you some reading things over here, and we start in on the engine. So up here, as you can see, we start building up the block of the engine, adding some stuff to the sides of it. The carburetors onto the top. There's lots of painting that goes on, and from there we fit like the cylinder heads onto it, as well as the valve cover, and it looks like intake, like throttle bodies over here. And then we add, the other side's cylinder heads, as well as the valve cover and like spark plugs. Yep, plugs. And then the tubing that's included for the plug wires goes on here. Over here they actually give you some more information on what to do there, as far as cutting it and where it goes and whatnot. So then if we swing back over to the center part here, we see then that we fit pieces onto the ends of it, and those are actually the carburetors, so I don't know what I was talking about up earlier. Again, I'm not familiar with motorcycles, so I don't know. So then the next step 2, we actually build up the battery case and the rear fender of the bike. So it's 2-piece for the rear fender and 2-piece for the battery box. Moving over here to step 3 on the next page, then we start building up the frame of the bike. So there's the 2 halves that the motorcycle engine gets sandwiched in, as well as the battery case. That gets painted a aluminum color. And they show you where to route some of those plug wires from earlier. Step 4, we then fit that rear fender that we built back in step 2 on, as well as the kickstand and a few other pieces. Step 5, we start building the swing arm for the bike. So we build up the wheel over here with the hub and the disc brake and so on. And we actually have to consult up a bit further again. It shows us how to build up the chain assembly as well as the swing arm itself. And then we fit that in and it gets screwed into place. Unfolding instructions further, we get to step 6, where we add the some more like the frame to the sides of the bike, as well as the rear shock absorber. And again, those the swing arm then gets attached to the actual body of the bike. There's a couple screws that hold it on there as such. Step 7, we build up the muffler for the bike. So it's a 3-piece and 2-piece. The inside that faces the bike is actually hollow. It goes to nothing. And then, no, I take that back. There's 2 mufflers. Okay. Disregard that. So then the 2 mufflers get fit in step 8, as well as the license plate on the rear and the gauges on the top of the frame. Step 9, we actually build up the 2 mufflers for each side of the bike. And to backtrack a bit, they show us up here how to build that shock absorber, as well as the gauges assembly. Nope, that's the rear tail lamp there, and then how that all fits together. And over here to step 10, then we finally add the muffler tips on to what we've done previously, as well as a piece of what looks like maybe the gas tank or some sort of cover, as well as the radiator. Excuse me. And some rubber hosing there. We also have a sub-assembly here for the radiator itself, so there's side pieces that fit on, and then the cooling fan fits to the front of that. Then in step 11, they show us how to build up the fuel tank itself. It's 2 pieces with the cap on top of that, and they pull you over here to show you how to decal that. Same with the main part of the fairing, so it's 3 parts. There's 2 halves and then an end piece that glues on, and they show you over here how to decal that. Then in step 12, they show you how to attach the seat cowl, and there are various other little bits that get added on, so like footrests and the Kickstarter, stuff like that, and the other side of what I still assume to be like the fuel tank or some sort of protection. Flipping the page over then to the back side. In step 14, we attach the seat as well as the gas tank to the bike and fit the shift lever and the footrest and such like that to the other side of the bike. Well, there went some decals for another model. It's fine. Then in step 14, we build up the front fork of it. So again, it's multi-pieces. There's the left and the right fork. You fit the bracket that holds the bike together, the fender, the brake lines all go on there, as well as like the top of the handlebars. And they kind of pull you over here and show what the finished thing will look like once you've done so. Step 15, then, we actually attach that front fork to the bike. Again, a really big screw is used to hold that on. We add the headlight, and then we run some brake lines and clutch lines and stuff like that over here to the handlebars, where we actually add those. Step 16, we build the headlight and brackets to then put onto the front cowling of the bike. Again, multi-piece over here, so the left and the right half. I think this is the part that's optional if you don't want to do it. And they show you the same thing but spun around to show you the details that go on the front side of that then, as well as decals, painting, and so on. Step 17, we start out by building our gauges over here. It's a 1-piece thing. You put some decals onto that after painting it. And we build the front wheel then with its disc brakes before putting the front cowling on. And finally in step 18 over here, we put the front wheel on again with another screw and the kickstand. So the painting of this bike, they show you here, I mean they've done throughout, and then there's the decals here basically, so everything should have already been painted prior to this step, and that's it. Alright, so next we'll take a look at the decal sheet. So as you can see, it's definitely yellowed around them. Again, I'm hoping that they'll go down fine, because this again is an older kit that's been sitting around. Leave some recommendations down below if you know how I can solve this potentially before I dig into the model. But as usual, very nicely done decals from Tamiya. Alright, so the first sprue that we'll take a look at is actually the clear sprue. So here we have the front windshield, and we have like the headlight and the tail light and some of the side markers on the rest of it. The detail on the headlight is very good. You can actually see them, might be better from this side, like the ribbing that is naturally in them when they make them in real life. Nice and clear, as you can tell. The next sprue we're going to take a look at is the cowling for the bike. So again, everything's split in half, so it's nice that they laid it out this way. You have the mirroring parts on both sides, as well as for like the license plate and some of the fenders and so on. For there, very nicely done. Nice curves, nice deep separations between the different pieces of it. So that should make it very easy to mask off and decal paint and all that stuff. The next sprue we're going to look at is Sprue B. This has a bulk of what's going on to the bike. So I will just kind of start up here in the left hand corner. So there's some engine bits here. There's like some pieces of chain, part of the muffler there, the seat, some of the fender. Down here it looks like we have some of the grips. Well, there's the handlebars, the actual grips themselves. You have the mufflers, or excuse me, the exhaust pieces there. I'm not sure what that is. Top of the handlebars, there's valve covers, more of that muffler. Over here, I think those are part of the engine block, part of the fuel tank. Those are mufflers there. Halves of the engine, there's the oil cooler and radiator. And finally we come down here and we've got like the gauges as well as the chain. So as usual for Tamiya, everything is very, very sharp. I'll try and bring you in closer, let you see all that. I do need to get some lighting behind me, I'm sorry for that. Black is hard to show. Flip it over. Not much detail in the back. So the next sprue is Sprue D. This is the chrome parts. Tamiya is very well known for their chroming on their parts, so I probably will leave these as it is. But here we can see like the carburetors, the actual mufflers, the front headlight. I believe that's part of the swing arm there. Flip it over to give you a look at the other side as well. And the last sprue in the box is Sprue C. This has the two halves of the frame as well as the other support bits for the swing arm. Here we can see the lower piece for the handlebar down here, as well as the clip to hold it in place. Some of the side pieces, the two rims, there's the disc brakes for the front and rear, and so on. So again, very highly detailed. Wouldn't expect anything else from Tamiya. And the last thing in the bag is actually another little baggie of parts. I will go ahead and open that and destroy it in the process. Someday. And in there we have a spring for the suspension, the various screws. I will not remove those from the bag because I don't want to lose them, but the rear wheel, very nicely detailed, no seam line. I would imagine it would have been right there. I'm off camera again, my bad guys. So very nice tread pattern. Here we have the front wheel, again similar tread pattern as the rear. And then we have two bits of tubing for the plug wires and clutch and coolant lines and so on and so forth.